Hello everybody! Okay, I am very excited about our conversation today, which is proper breathing during exercise. And not even during exercise, but proper breathing in general. And this is a really cool topic because when we breathe, a lot of times we're not breathing correctly. And I know that sounds wild to say, but when we engage the muscles, the correct muscles to breathe, it's going to kind of result in a ripple effect with our general health. When it comes to our stress management, how we're sleeping, all of these things have to do with how we're breathing. And before I kind of dive into like the educational component, I want to tell you right now to take a deep breath. So go ahead and take a deep breath. Okay, now for this next deep breath, I want you to think about what muscles or what parts of your body are engaged. So go ahead and take another deep breath. Good. Okay. So it might have been your chest, it might have been your shoulders. More than likely, those are the muscles that you thought about when you were taking your deep breath. You might have been an athlete once in your life, or, anytime you're told to take a deep breath, a lot of us try to breathe through our chest and exaggerate all of this up here, when in reality, what we want to do is focus on our diaphragm. And diaphragmatic breathing, so the action of breathing through your diaphragm, is actually how we breathe when we're babies. It's how we naturally are designed to breathe. And as we walk through life and we encounter different stressors, we compromise different parts of our body to breathe. And so a lot of that happens, it's just a really tight up period. A lot of that action is happening through our shoulders and our chest, and we really want it to be through our diaphragm. So you might be wondering how you can control that. Well, our diaphragm sits like this, and when we inhale, it lengthens, and when we exhale, it goes back to a relaxed position. And so if you were to put your thumbs, and I want you to do this with me, if you were to put your thumbs right here on your rib cage, breathing through your diaphragm would be breathing in through your nose and pushing your ribs into your thumbs. And that's the cue that I like to use when I really want to focus on diaphragmatic breathing. So, and you can do this laying down, like in a laying position, which I'm not going to do because the view isn't that great. But if you were to lay down and put your thumbs here on your rib cage, again, you're breathing in through your nose, and your ribs should push into your thumbs, and you should exhale through your nose, and you should feel it relax. You should feel your diaphragm lengthen and then return back to its original position. So that's how we want to be breathing. And what's so fascinating to me is that when I was taking just different courses to prep for labor and delivery with Jayla, a lot of understanding proper breathing techniques had so much to do with how labor and delivery went. And I was being told that in all my courses, just really focus on this, really focus on this. Well, it really helped me. And I truly believe, labor is really intense. Labor and delivery is a really intense, beautiful thing. I get goosebumps talking about it. Going from the hardest thing of my life to the most beautiful moment in a matter of a second it's a God thing. It's so cool. And breathing through my diaphragm and really focusing on my breathing during my contractions, I believe had everything to do with how I progressed through that, how my uterus was able to soften, how all of that went together. I truly believe it had a lot to do with that. I had about a 6-hour active labor, which doctors were telling me I was doing really great. I felt really good about it. Anyway, I guess the reason I throw that in there is because this can roll into so many different factors of your life. And for me, labor and delivery was one place I was really able to apply it and feel really good about it. If you're curious, during each contraction, when I was in active labor, I was about after 6 centimeters is when they got really intense, and that kind of pain lasted for me for probably 2 hours. But when I would encounter a contraction, I would really try to relax my body. We hold a lot of stress right here, so I would actively relax and breathe through my diaphragm is what I was doing. So I was relaxing, a contraction would hit, and I would really take a deep breath in through my nose, expand my diaphragm, and really breathe through them. That's like the only thing I was thinking, and just to simply relax. And I really truly believe that helped me. Anyway, let's get back into how this relates to exercise. Which, by the way, labor and delivery is the most physical thing I feel like I've ever done in my life. It was the hardest physical thing I've ever done. Anyway, so when we were exercising, we were using our core as the trunk of our movements. We're using it as a way to stabilize ourselves, to control our balance, to control our strength, to really help us. And it's so important that it's engaged, and that diaphragmatic breath is going to be the first part of that. You might have heard before, flex your core as if someone's about to punch you in the gut. Yes and no when it comes to how we want to think about our core and use it to prepare ourselves for exercise. So with the punching idea, if someone were to punch you, that instinct we have to like tighten it is kind of the same thing, but we want to be a little bit more specific about what we're doing whenever we are tightening our core. So it's going to start with that diaphragmatic breath, and this is before any movement that you do. Before any exercise, and when I say exercise meaning a movement. When you're doing any movement in any of your workouts, I want you to think about this before you even start. So you're taking that diaphragmatic breath in through your nose, expanding your ribs, and on the exhale, what you're going to do is wrap in and up and in this way. So our core unit, our core is engaged of a lot more than our six pack. So we have these 6 muscles here that are connected by tissue, and we also have our obliques. We have, oh, my little battery light just turned on. We have our pelvic floor, which is like the canopy for our organs, sitting really low, helping with bowel movements and other functions like that. So that is engaged as well. And the pelvic floor and the diaphragm work as a unit. When we're breathing, our pelvic floor is engaged, believe it or not. And it's important that we are aware of that so that we can effectively be in tune with how we're breathing and how we're engaging. So again, breathing in through my nose, expanding my diaphragm. As I'm exhaling, my diaphragm is collapsing here, and I'm breathing, I'm tightening everything up and in this way, as if it were a blanket, wrapping this way. And that tightness is what I want to hold. I want to engage all of it. And so that's my starting point for all of my movements. Now, depending on how heavy you're lifting or the type of exercise you're doing, you might need to reset that breath in between each rep. For example, if I'm doing a back squat, I'm doing my diaphragmatic breath, pulling up and in, and now I'm holding that breath as I go down, exhaling at the top. Now, I didn't lose my tightness when I exhale, but when I take my deep breath in, I am focusing on my diaphragm when I'm taking that breath. So that's really important, especially if you are lifting heavy weights, to really engage your core with your diaphragm. Now, let's say you're doing a bicep curl, something that isn't necessarily engaging your whole body, but it's still an exercise. Okay, you're breathing in through your diaphragm again before you start. On my exhale, I'm pulling up and in. Okay, I'm creating tension, and I'm going to breathe through that as I perform my movement. So it's still tight, it's still helping me move, it's still helping me perform the strength exercise. I'm not necessarily doing my curl, breathing, okay? If it is that heavy of an exercise, like if the weight is that heavy, I might reset depending on how much support I need throughout my movement. But this is true for every exercise. And the last point I wanted to make, there was a point of time, probably like 5 years ago, when I first started learning about this, that I thought I needed to engage my core in everything I was doing. And that is true, but just like any other muscle, okay, I'm not gonna sit here and flex my bicep all the time. Okay, I'm not just gonna flex my bicep all the time. I'm gonna flex it when I feel like I need it, or I'm going to engage it and think about it if I'm lifting maybe a heavy box or Jayla's car seat, okay, I'm gonna think about it, but I'm not flexing it all the time. So your core isn't going to be engaged in everything, but think about a lot of the movements that you do every day. Your core is going to help you do them. So anytime you feel like it might be helping you lift something heavy or move something heavy or pull something, think about that diaphragmatic breath and engage your core accordingly. I do a diaphragmatic breath every time I pick the car seat up, and so I think it's heavy. So before I bend down, I'm not bending down this way, I'm keeping my back straight, and I am doing a diaphragmatic breath. And when I pick it up, I am holding that and keeping my core engaged. So just something to be extremely mindful of. And the more we're mindful of it, the more it just comes as second nature, and that's kind of what we're trying to get at too. So I hope that was helpful.